The next apocalypse?
But Alyssa, what is the next apocalypse?
Well, Jordyn, it's the ozone layer.
But what is the ozone layer, Alyssa?
This short video will explain to you, Jordyn, what the ozone layer really is.
Ozone is the Earth's natural sunscreen. It screens ultraviolet radiation. If there's less ozone, more UV radiation gets to the Earth. If there's more ozone, less UV radiation gets to the Earth's surface. There are a few ingredients to the Antarctic ozone hole. The first ingredient is you have to have very high levels of chlorine and bromine. In fact, if you made a measurement now, you'd find that about 80% of the chlorine over Antarctica is from human-produced compounds, chlorofluorocarbons, and halons. The second ingredient is you have to have very cold temperatures. Over Antarctica, about 10 miles up or so, it gets extremely cold. And in those cold conditions, you form fairly exotic clouds, what we call polar stratospheric clouds. And you will release this chlorine down there into a form that can destroy ozone. The third ingredient is you need a little bit of sunlight. The sunlight appears over Antarctica in August, September, and just that little bit of light provides the energy to drive what's called the catalytic reaction, in which one chlorine molecule can destroy thousands and thousands of ozone molecules, until finally 100% of the ozone in that layer from 50,000 to 80,000 is destroyed. There is a question of how will climate change affect the Antarctic ozone hole. And in fact, there's some questions about whether as it gets colder, you can make the ozone hole last longer. We don't have a good answer for that right now, so we don't actually know what's going to happen. So that's a real hot research topic. Our current predictions right now is that the ozone hole will be back to a level we saw in 1980 in the year of about 2070. For about the next 10 years or so, we'll see very large ozone holes. And then after about 2017, 2018 in there, they'll start getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And by 2070, should be back to a 1980 level.
The environmental lens. It seems as though the ozone layer depletion isn't affecting the way people think, because it is believed to be a far-away problem, considering the actual holes in the ozone layer are present near the poles. This is very far away from the populated areas. Scientists stated that the ozone hole, approximately 5 times the size of California, has widened over the Arctic this past spring. This gap has matched the ozone loss over Antarctica for the first time ever on record. One of the main problems that the worldwide population is having actually believes that the climate changes are affecting everyone all over the world. A few of the most drastic effects of climate change in an average person's life is its effect on the price of food and the amount of available drinking water. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, says that the areas that are affected from droughts have increased since the 1970s. This shortage of water makes it very difficult for people to get enough water to meet their everyday needs. Furthermore, increased ultraviolet light will also strongly affect plant life. Some microscopic plant life that resides in the oceans may not be able to survive the enhanced exposure. There are other effects that are affecting our planet presently, and that have dramatic consequences on the Earth. These are effects of climate change. IPCC also stated that tropical cyclone activity in the North Atlantic regions has increased a lot since 1970. The additional radiation from the ozone layer depletion is also anticipated to have quite an impact on wind currents in the upper atmosphere. Environmentalists are concerned that the rays coming from the ozone hole over Antarctica could increase significantly because the hole has grown to reach Australia, New Zealand, Chile, and South Africa. If we do not start to take action in protecting our ozone layer, these changes are unfortunately a reality that humanity will have to deal with. The social lens. The ozone layer protects the Earth from harmful UV rays. Without it, these rays will penetrate the atmosphere and cause some disastrous effects, such as cataracts, skin cancer, respiratory illness, damages to crops, and global warming. Every time simply 1% of the ozone layer is lost, 2% more of the UV rays is able to reach the surface of our planet. This is a very serious side effect considering the UV rays cause skin cancer. The EPA estimates that approximately 60 million American people born by the year 2075 will get skin cancer, strictly because of ozone depletion. They also say that about 1 million of these people will die. Other research shows that the ozone depletion will increase the cases of malaria. There are many different people who are at risk by the ozone layer depletion. A couple of examples would be children who play outside all the time in the summer, adults who are very active and work out a lot outside, people with asthma and any respiratory problems. In the past century, the sea level has risen about 4 to 8 inches. About 1 to 2 inches of that is caused by the melting of mountain glaciers. It is not only the small states that need to worry about sea level rise, because 70% of the world's population live on coastal plains. Over the next century, a sea level rise from 3.5 to 34.6 inches is expected. This itself can cause huge amounts of damages to shorelines, as well as major coastal flooding, wetlands, and barrier island flooding, and of course, saltwater contamination of freshwater supplies. Some consequences are cities such as London, New York, and Bangkok will be submerged if we continue at this rate of global warming. Rural populations and farmlands will be totally destroyed and wiped out. To protect the ozone layer, our health, and the health of our children, we must control and diminish as much air pollution as possible.
The political lens. Environmental NGOs are attempting to influence the public on the importance of taking action in order to raise awareness of the health impacts of the ozone depletion. To promote awareness, they are producing materials, they are generating media, making meetings, conferences, workshops, and they are building coalitions. While more and more awareness of the environmental risks are being raised, more and more politicians are promoting environmental cooperation in order to do exactly what the NGOs are doing. Promoting awareness on the depletion of the ozone layer has been very effective for Greenpeace. The Canadian government is now a part of the 194 nations that have signed an international agreement to end the production of CFCs, halons, and other ozone depletion substances, also known as ODS. This action was launched in 1987, and it is called the Montreal Protocol on Substances that Deplete the Ozone Layer. This action gives our government the responsibility of protecting our ozone by controlling the import, the manufacture, the use, the sale, the export of ODS. In order to do so, they put in place a few rules. They put in place regulation, an ODS phase-out program, and the National Action Plan for the Environmental Control of Ozone Depletion Substances and their low-carbon alternatives. The economic lens. The ozone layer is caused inevitably by humans. Therefore, the economic loss is unavoidable. Because of the effect that the ozone layer has on our environment, it can affect various situations. For example, first, the ozone layer depletion can lead to a situation where agriculture may decrease because of the weather conditions. Secondly, the ozone layer depletion may disturb the airways because it may cause certain regions to not have suitable airs for flying aircrafts. Thirdly, the tourism industry will be affected when there is a loss in fauna and flora. Hence, the tourist spots will take a hit. People whose lives revolve around agriculture will be forced to find new jobs when their crops begin to deplete with time. A number of economically important series of plants, such as rice, which depend on cyanobacteria, reside in their roots, will be affected. Cyanobacteria are sensitive to UV light and will be affected by this increase. Because the ozone layer is thinning, the Earth is unable to keep warm at night since heat is being radiated out into space instead of being reflected by the ozone layer back to our Earth. Therefore, the population of our planet has to heat their homes even more so than before, and we all know that heating is not at all cheap. The ozone layer depletion impacts the environment, the economic well-being of the population of this Earth because it forces people to make drastic changes and alter their lifestyles to raise their own awareness of this issue. For example, some people may refuse to buy only ozone-friendly hairsprays or cans, and those that are more expensive than the normal ones, but the normal ones ruin our ozone layer. Believe it or not, our economy is affected in a positive way as well. The sale of warm clothing and winter survival is going to skyrocket. To conclude, As you are all now aware, the ozone depletion is affecting us all in one way or another. We all must take into consideration this problem before our next big spending spree, or the next time we spray a lot of hairspray on our new do before a new party. As my colleague expressed before, if we do not start to take action in protecting our ozone layer, these changes are, unfortunately, a reality that humanity will have to deal with.
Thank you.